Hello, beautiful people. How are you all doing? What is going on in your world beside the fucking heat? I'm early. I'm early today for a change, not late. I fed the cats. Or I fed the two that wanted tea anyway. The others didn't appear. And Florence hates me. She's in her own room. I actually took the fan and put that in her room for her. I've got the curtains closed and the window closed in there. So that fan is blowing, so she's got a bit of cool air, but she actually hides. There's a clothing rail in there and I've got all of my long dresses and stuff in there, and she hides at the bottom. So I put a blanket so she doesn't get the fur all over my clothes, because they're all really nice dresses. They're all of my witchy dresses. So yeah, I'm going to talk about two very difficult topics today. The first one we're going to tackle is the transgender ruling. However, I did see a piece of good news, so I'm going to start with that, because at least it puts things into a better perspective. And then looking at the sentence that the three teenage lads were given for grape of young lasses, two specific cases where they filmed, and so I'm going to talk about that as well. And both of these topics fit into misogyny. And I know I did put up that poll last week and said about Misogyny Monday, and I was thinking of changing it. But to be honest, a lot of current political issues are to do with misogyny and are based on misogyny and patriarchal views, and the views that women carry as well. And not all women, obviously, but a lot of women, especially those of older generations, hold those patriarchal views because of the way they were taught as children. So I'm not going to blame any women for their thoughts and their processes, but hopefully we can try and explain to them why their thought process is based on men's control, basically, of women. So I will provide the legal details surrounding sentencing for the grape and how it is applied to juvenile offenders. Thank you so much, Chrissy. I will say that it is going to the Attorney General. They are going to relook at it. I have looked at that. I've got some information up on that, but it's not the actual legal stuff. It's a shortened version from the government, from the Attorney General's office. No, where is it from? It's from cps.gov.uk. So it's the sort of brief overview of the sentence. I've also got interview that Laura Konsberg, I know, but she did with the victims of those crimes. And that is what I think about more than anything, is that the victims and their suffering. So yes, I know that there are differences in legalities when it comes to sentencing children. However, certain crimes that perhaps needs to be amended, and maybe this is the start of where those amendments can happen, because this is not just one incident, it's two incidents on two different dates in two different places at two different times. So one was in 2024 and the other was in 2025. But I want to talk about the trans issues first, and what that means for our trans friends, both trans women and trans men, because I think it's fucking ridiculous. And I know I have many, many trans subscribers and trans women and men in the chat. And this is a safe space for our transgender friends, family members, sisters, brothers. You know, I think of our trans sisters, because to be honest, I don't know any trans men. I know loads of trans women. But, you know, I know they exist. I know they're out there. So I'm going to be asking for views from you guys, what you think about this, how it makes you feel. So if you do want me to read out your comments specifically, just at the witchy goth me, so at the -witchy-goth me, and it highlights it on my screen so I'll see it, because sometimes, as you know, I get lost in the comments and I can't find what people are saying. So I don't want to miss any important comments. So the things that I'm looking at really are how you feel it affects you. Obviously, I know this is a difficult topic, so you may not want to talk about it at all, and that's perfectly fine. And I completely understand. I know most of you are on the Discord server, so if you need to go there afterwards and chat, I will not be going over to Discord afterwards. I have some recording to do, because I was going to record videos this afternoon, but then after I showered, when I got back from my run, I went to have a lie down and ended up falling asleep for a while. It was my mum that woke me up. So yeah, she woke me up, and I'm like, thank God she woke me up by ringing, because I had to give Florence her medication and I had to feed the cats and get myself ready. Otherwise, I would have looked dreadful. So first of all, I hope you're all doing well with the heat here in the UK. I know not all of us are in England. Some of us are in Scotland and Ireland and Wales. So some of the temperatures may be different for you where you are. But at the moment, it is here. Hang on, I'll tell you now. I'll bugger off. 32 degrees where I live. 32 fucking degrees. It says storms possible tomorrow. I hope so. I hope so. I was going to put my paddling pool up today and fill that, but it was just too hot to do anything outside. I went for my run. It was a lot cooler then. It was 23 degrees when I went out. Very slow run today. Paced myself nicely. Spent a lot of time in the wood, so I didn't do the fields area. So I spent a lot of time in the wood and took my big bottle of water, and I was pouring some over my head as well. So if anybody runs, who doesn't know that, when you're running in heat, this is the advice that I can give you that I found in Runner's World magazine and various other sites. First of all, make sure you drink at least a pint of water before you go out. If you need to have some sports gels because they contain the electrolytes that you will need, or another electrolyte drink, you may want to put that into your pint of water. I use a gel because that's got all the calories in that I need for the short run. Because I did 3.4 kilometers today. I was only going to do 3, but somehow it added the extra 4 on. So yeah, it is what it is. Take at least a litre of water with you when you go out, and obviously hydrate when you get back. The body needs that water, because if it doesn't have it, it doesn't regulate itself to sweat. So the body heats up. So sweating is your reaction, your body's reaction to the body heating up. And if you don't drink enough fluids, you won't sweat enough and the body will not work. And that's when you end up having problems such as passing out or worse. So always make sure you are well hydrated, but don't overhydrate as well. So I have a pint of water before I go out, my gel. I take 700 mils of water with me, which I sip. I don't glug. I want to glug, but I don't, because if I glug, then I feel sick. So sipping it, replenishing what I'm losing, and then also pouring some over my head, because the body needs to cool down as well. Your skin is your biggest organ in the body. This is an organ. And obviously each pore is where we sweat from. So pouring it over your head, hottest part of the body, releases the most heat. And I tell you, when you're running and you pour it over your head, it feels absolutely bloody amazing. And I was doing that. I do that at races in summer. Last year when I did the 10K cancer research one, the water stops. I had my water with me, but I was pouring, like you get the cups. So I was pouring one over my head and drinking the other, and then refilling my water bottle. And some of the runners were like, "Oh, I never thought of that." So, it's just when you look up these things and you decide to, think, you're running seriously and you want to run when it's hot. I mean, like yesterday it was warm. If I'd have run last Sunday's race, not yesterday, last week's Sunday's race was pretty temperate. The weather was about 12 degrees, I think, 12, 13 degrees, which was okay. I prefer it a little bit colder. But if I'd have had to run the race yesterday, I would have been way slower. So yeah, And I've just found an interesting video. It just popped up on my feed about pooping when you run. And yeah, I get it. This is one of the reasons I do trail running, because I know where all the good bushes are, where I'm hidden. I know it sounds disgusting, but it happens. Right, let's have a look who is in the chat. I know Billy was there first, so hello, Billy, my darling. Hope all is good with you. Hi, Chris C. Thank you for being here. Guys, I just want to say as well, I've got some amazing mods in the chat. One of them is trans, and we will not tolerate any anti-trans, transphobe. If you do, you can fuck right off. They will block you, and that's it. End of. I am not putting up with any bollocks or bullshit from anybody tonight. It's a very sensitive issue, so please keep your comments, respectful to each other. Also, if you are going to say something triggering, just put TW at the beginning of your comment, TW or the little warning sign in the emojis. But then at least the person knows. And when I read it out, I will say TW. So if you are listening and you don't want to hear it, you can mute my voice for a few seconds until I finish reading it out. So yeah, some of the stuff is going to be triggering, guys. I'm expecting it to be. So just be aware, take care of yourself. And if you can't listen, don't worry. You're not offending me. You're not offending me at all. I understand. If you think, no, can't do this, can't listen to this, fair enough. I will not be offended. Some topics are very difficult to discuss and to speak about, and these two today are two of them. So we have Elle in the chat as well, my darling. Hope all is good with you. Who else do we have? Yeah, it's been too warm to do anything. Damn near killed me doing 2 orders earlier. So Chris has got very little patience today. So like I just said, if you are going to be transphobic, fuck off. It's that simple. I don't want you here. I am feminist, and trans women are women, and trans men are men. That's it. If you claim to be a feminist and you are a transphobe, you are not a real feminist. It's that simple. You'll find out why. Yes, Graham's doing his 48-hour stint, isn't he? I don't know how he's managing. I did see a little bit this morning. He's going through the countries, isn't he, of the world that he travelled to, which is wonderful because, I mean, it's his, if he was on Mastermind, that'd be his chosen subject, wouldn't it? So, yeah, so if you can support Graham, please support Graham. I have linked Reagan Elite show at 8 o'clock onto this. So you should all afterwards be shunted over to Reagan Elite show. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it now, Reagan. I know I saw your name come up in the chat. So once I finish waffling my shit, you can go and watch one of the professionals at work. And of course, supporting Graham as well from Hues of the World now, and no longer Politics Social, Hues of the World. Hi, Alex, lovely to see you. Hi, Diz, lovely to see you as well. You'd think he's only been on an hour. He does have ADHD, doesn't he? So we know that, people with ADHD are much more enthusiastic. I just hope he manages to keep going and get this world record. That's, because he is going for the Guinness World Record of the longest stream. So let's hope that he does it. Hi, Draka, lovely to see you. Hi, Jenny, or Jeannie Bottle. I'm guessing you are Jeannie, not Jenny. Let's have a look. Okay, so Chris is going to provide the legal details. So when you do see that link, you can open it, save it, so that you can read it either during or after. There's 2 hours, Graham, 1 hour's Reagan Elite, then 6 hours, Graham. Wow. Elle, thank you for doing that. Diz left the stream running. I'll probably do that tonight, actually, on my other phone. So then he's got, while I sleep. Or I could put it on my tablet. I'll put it on my other phone because that'll live longer. Hi, Daniela, lovely to see you. Yes, thank you for linking Daniela's channel. Hi, Reagan Elite. Wonderful to see you. If you haven't already, guys, I'm sure you have, link Reagan Elite's channel. So if you don't get shunted over, you can go onto the link and go straight over to Reagan Elite's live stream at 8 p.m. Sheffield Steve, hello. It is too much. It is far too much. I was saying this morning on Reagan Elite show, I commented that I lived in South Africa. I have experienced 32 degrees to 35 degrees was the hottest that I experienced personally. It's a different heat. It's a different heat here in the UK. Very, very different. It's oppressive. It's humidity. I don't like it at all. I really don't like it. It's tiring. It's exhausting. I feel so tired. I mean, when I got back from my run, I had a cold shower. This is like, I let my hair dry naturally, which is why it's got all these curls. But I bought some of that Aussie curls stuff to try not to let it frizz. And it seems to have been working with the curls and making them look better. Because it's sort of, I never had curly hair. I was on a drug called Depakote for a number of years, which is a very strong drug. And I lost half of my hair. And that's the reason I stopped taking it. That and the amount of weight that I gained on it. And as it grew back curly. So yeah, I didn't like it. Now I do. Now I think, I don't look right without, if it's straight, I think I look a bit harsh. So yeah, the weather here, because I'm not far from Sheffield. I'm like a 30-minute drive, not even. I mean, I'm 2 junctions away. Heading south, 2 junctions away, so not far at all. Let's see who else is here. Anybody else? Have I missed anybody else? Right, I am back. Just got all the legal information about sentencing juvenile offenders for grape. I will drop the links in the Discord server as they're quite extensive. Thank you, Chrissy. So if you're not on the Discord server, join Discord. You can find me under the Witchy Goth and a number of other mods in the chat also are on Discord. If you want to say that you're on Discord, say that you're on Discord and that you're happy to take requests. I'm not going to give out names unless you want to give out the names. It's not up to me because obviously, we all have our privacy that we want to keep. And I see there's somebody called Just Hannah and I've got it on top chat instead of live chat. So here we go. I am sorry if I've missed somebody here. Doc Davis, hello, Doc Davis. Hello, Just Hannah. Lovely to see you. The future is trans. Just Hannah, it is. It is. It is. I have been friends with trans women since my late teens, is when I met my first trans woman friend. And they're women. They are women. They know as much about skincare, as much about hair care. I do not see a difference at all. At all. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense that, people do not accept each other. There have been trans women for centuries, thousands of years. There have been trans women. We know in Egyptian culture, in Roman and Greek culture, there were trans women. Enthusiastic, that word crops up a lot in descriptions of me. People are people, as Depeche Mode song says, end of, absolutely. Viewpoint, thank you, regularly. Yes, you are. You have a proper microphone and a proper system. I just have a laptop. A laptop and a couple of phones and my old computer that is like chugging along. Let's see who I've missed. That happens to cancer patients, Diz. It was a very strong drug. It was a very, very strong drug that I was on, and it was one of the side effects, and it had a similar effect on my body. I had straight hair, now it's wavy. Hi, Ben Riddings, lovely to see you. Word up to you. Really warm here at around 9 a.m. tomorrow. Luckily, we'll have an hour window for a little cooler temperature. I'm going to try and get up super early so I can go for my run before it gets too hot. Although it will be a short distance again, and it will be lots of fluids, and I will be taking care of myself because, yeah, it's important. Hi, Kat. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining. To all the new subscribers, thank you so much for joining. Really, really appreciate it. I'm guessing it's because I'm discussing the trans issues that are going on at the moment. Get herself a Chillmax 2.0, best investment. What is that, Ben Riddings? What's a Chillmax? Man Prof Bunker Fund. Thank you, Elle, for putting up that link, because I didn't link my Buy Me a Coffee. So if you would like to support the channel, the easiest way is to like the video. First of all, if you could like the live stream, because I see we've got more viewers than we have likes. If you could subscribe to the channel, that's an excellent way to support me. And if you want to make that little bit extra gesture, you can buy me a coffee. The link Elle has put into the chat for me. It's buymeacoffee.com/thewitchygoth. Would be muchly appreciated. Thank you. Because now I got a bill from, what's it? I'm with Pet Plan, and I owe an excess on Florrie. So the brake discs are on the back burner now. Let's see, who have I missed? Panda the Torture Clown. Oh, wonderful, Cat. That's fantastic. Please tell Panda I send my love. I was actually thinking about him while I was putting on my makeup. I know, that sounds weird. But I'm a yoga instructor, and I know he does the whole thing. And it is actually called Jalanetti that we do in yoga, although we don't do that extreme. But my question for him, if he does come on here, is what happens when he gets a cold? That's all I wanted to know. What happens when he gets a cold? I know it's a daft question. You hit like on the TV and the phone. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, trolls, I'm in zero mood for any BS about the trans community, climate change hopes, or any other unacceptable speech. We'll see you instantly banned. You will not be timed out. You are warned. Thank you. Thank you, Chris C. Thank you. Yeah, you will not be timed out. If you are right-wing and you want to talk politics, that's fine. But I will not tolerate any disgusting language or fighting. I'm open to debate, but not fighting. But today I am focusing on the trans issues and the outcome of the grape trial, which I'm going to talk about the trans issues first, because I know that many of you are trans in this community. Hello, Indy, you're driving and fighting demons. Oh, get rid of those demons. Get rid of those demons. I send sparks of lightning bolts to those demons, Indy. Trans folk always existed. They did, Jeannie. That's the thing. They did. They always existed, whether they were in biblical times or pre-biblical times. You know, we have seen it. We can see it throughout history, historical documentation. Like I said, in the Egyptian era, the 5,000 years of Egypt, more than likely in Somalian history as well, definitely in Hindu belief systems. I mean, I think, if I remember correctly, and Chrissy, you may need to go and check this for me, there is a god, a Hindu god, that is both female and male. I'm not 100% sure. Hey, Tex Meets, lovely to see you. Haven't seen you for ages. How are you doing? Hi, Gallifrey and Ren, your ears are burning, and not just from the sun. Okay, what are you cooking? What are you cooking? I'm fed up of watching my trans friends and allies being used as scapegoats. Exactly. We are all fucking human, regardless if you're a biological man, woman, trans man, woman. Exactly. Exactly. The Hindu deity that is both male and female is Ardhanavashara. Thank you. I knew there was one. I knew there was one. So, yes. Eleanor Rayner in 13th century England. Reikenor, sorry, in 13th century England, we have her trial transcripts, but we don't know what became of her. She was probably hanged or burned. She was probably called a witch. Cooking in this heat, nah. Cheese, ham, garlic, mayo, and plain crisps sandwiches. Oh, crisp sandwiches. I'm actually drinking Coke. I needed the extra electrolytes. I did do a whoosh order earlier from Tesco because I wanted ice cream. So I've got ice cream in the freezer for later. I haven't had my dinner yet. It's too hot to eat. I just don't feel like eating. And even my cats, the biscuit bowls are still full. So they're being wasted because of flies. Obviously, I mean, they won't get worms and that because they have advocate every month to clear out the system. So yeah, thank you, Chrissy, for finding that information for me. Back to food. Yes, I tried to order strawberries. They didn't have any. They were sold out. So I had to get raspberries and blackberries instead. But I've got ice cream instead of cream. Just as fattening, isn't it? But at least climate change isn't real, right? Yeah. It's not real at all. Not real at all. My tinfoil hat is somewhere over there because the cats were playing with it. So yeah, we'll talk about climate change on a different day. So the ECHR. Now, I'm not reading from the entire ECHR code of practice. I'm reading from the Guardian, which this article is by Libby Brooks, dated the 21st of May, 2026, and going through what this says about single-sex toilets. Sorry, I'm going to get YouTube up on my phone so that I can see any comments that come up. So bear with me a second while I find myself, because I'm an idiot when it comes to finding myself. There we are. There we are. Does whoosh still require? No, you can. I spent 23 quid. I think you still pay £22.99 for the delivery. I'm not sure, but no, I use it quite often, to be honest. So yeah. Ren, you are perfectly safe from my troll anvil. We know that you are aware of climate change. So yeah. So I've got everybody up here on my hang on. Right, so now it's showing all messages. Okay. So I shouldn't miss anything because I'm not looking at on here. I'm not looking at the feed. I'm looking at the article. If someone stops me, I'll pee where I stand. Well, squat. Yeah. This thing about that I was looking at earlier on, this video that popped up on my feed about runners shitting themselves when they run. It happens. There is actually footage of marathon runners with poopy pants. And I can tell you now, if I was running a marathon and I was doing a PB and my time was bloody fast, I wouldn't stop to have a shit. I'd just do it. And you know, the same thought comes for having a pee. You know, you're already sweating and the sweat running down your legs already. So, because I use Vaseline on the inside of my thighs, you know, chub rub. So yeah. Yeah, look into it, Sheffield Steve. So coming back to the ECHR code of practice and how it applies. And yeah, I'm pissed off. I didn't hear about this when it happened. I saw that there was a lot of issue in one of the chats with all of my lovely trans friends being upset. And I thought, what the fuck has gone on? And that's when I found this. The anti-trans climate in the UK is concerning the ECHR, the European Supreme Court, not happy with the UK treatment of trans. I did a video on it today. Thank you, Daniela. If Elle could link that, that would be awesome. Thank you. And then we can all go and have a watch. Thank you for doing videos on these issues, Daniela, because you understand it more than I do, because you live it. And it's infuriating for me. Okay, so the sort of underline headline is single-sex toilets must exclude transgender people, says the ECHR. So what is the code of practice about and who does it apply to? Hi, Sarah Davies, lovely to see you. Guys, like I say, if you want to chat to me, please at the _witchy goth me, and then I will see it on my feed because it highlights it for me. Put my phone there now so I can see any chats that come up. So the updated code of practice is written by the UK Equalities Watchdog, the Equality and Human Rights Commission, and offers guidance to service providers, associations, and those delivering public functions about how to apply all aspects of the Equality Act. The code covers all 9 protected characteristics such as disability, race, sexual orientation, but there is a special focus on this update because it also includes practical guidance on how to apply last year's Supreme Court ruling about single-sex spaces. Speaking as the draft code was published, Chair of EHRC, Mary Ann Stevenson, was keen to clarify what the code does and does not do. We are not deciding what the law should be. Parliament does that. The Supreme Court clarified what it is. We are just providing guidance for service providers on how they can best follow the law. Oh my God, thank you for letting us know, Chris C. So anybody in Kent and Sussex have been left without water. South East Water has blamed the hot weather and extra demand for the water. So yeah, I think that that's something that we all need to be aware of, isn't it? Elle says exclusion is illegal. It's an illegal legislation. Ignored what came of results of the court with Good Law Project. Yeah. Bloody privatisation does, absolutely. Water should not be privatised. It should be, you know, it should be government run. This will be the new head of the EHRC that asked we see what she does before we judge. Well, I have judged, yeah. Hi, James. Lovely to see you. Sending out my best wishes to any of these people. This fucking sucks. It does. It does. People who've not got access to water. Advice for you guys. Tesco do the big 5-litre bottles of water. It's dirt cheap. I think it was about 50p or something ridiculous. And I used to buy them. I've got like 6 of the bottles now. So I fill them and I put them in the garage and then I use them as I have them on a constant rotation so the water doesn't go stale. But I also bought, and you can get them quite cheaply from Amazon, they're also a 5-litre, it's like a plastic bag that you can fill with water as well. And I take those when I go camping because they're really good. They fold up, you know, thin instead of carrying a big water bottle with me. But make sure you've got water saved if you can. You know, just get yourself, you know, if you buy a bottle of Coke, rinse it out, fill it with water, keep it for any emergencies. I learned that when I lived in South Africa. That was something that I learned when I lived there because we had water was cut off a couple of times. And unlike the government here that lets you know what's going on and sometimes provides bottled water, they didn't there. Chrissy says around 800 properties have been left without water since Saturday. Oh, God. So South East Water has asked customers to space out their water consumption to avoid any supply issues. Sorry, I'm just checking. Worst time for the water to go off. It is. It always happens. Always happens. 1977. All over. It was 77. Or was it 76? It was the year of the big drought. It was 6 weeks of bloody ridiculously hot weather, and the ground had cracks in it like that. Okay, so why was this update necessary? This was the first update to the code in more than 10 years and was well underway before last April when the Supreme Court ruled on a long-running case against the Scottish Government brought by gender-critical campaigners for women Scotland. And we all know that it was J.K. Ratwing that had her fucking fingers in this. The landmark judgment said that for the purposes of the Equality Act, the legal definition of a woman was based on biological sex. This had significant ramifications for who can now access women-only services and spaces, such as refuges or toilets. Immediately after the ruling, a few companies moved quickly to bar transgender people from using facilities of their lived gender, but most remained in limbo, concerned about the costs and practicalities of providing extra gender neutral toilets, for example, and awaiting further guidance from the EHRC. Those businesses that want to remain trans inclusive have highlighted a minefield of competing legal rights and staff concerns about being forced to police toilets. I agree. If I worked in a place where there were specific male and female toilets, I would not police. I would not stop a trans woman from going to the women's toilets. There's no way. There's no way I would do that. No way. I'd stop a man from going into the women's toilets, but not a trans woman. I don't know about you guys, but Costa Coffee near me, the toilets are oh God, what is the term? It can be used by either men, women, trans, women with babies, whatever, which I think it should be. There's a coffee shop near me, same thing. You know, anybody can use the toilet, it's just one toilet, but it's not a big establishment. So they, you know, by law, they don't need more than that one toilet. But to me, to be honest, I think just having one toilet or two toilets or whatever that you know, can be used by anybody makes sense. Obviously, we need disabled toilets for people who are compromised and in wheelchairs. And I'm thinking of Mel. Hello, Mel. So, yeah, we do need that as well. But it's possible to have, you know, gender not critical toilets and disabled toilets all in one. You know, it angers me that because people who go to that coffee shop or who go to Costa Coffee use those toilets, whether they support trans rights or not, they use those toilets. So what's the issue? The EHRC first submitted its draft code to the UK government last September, and there has been ongoing criticism of ministerial delays from gender critical campaigners and businesses awaiting clarity. What does the new code of practice say about the Supreme Court judgment? The new code reinforces last April's ruling and gives a wide variety of practical examples showing how service providers may apply it. The code is clear that if a service provider admits a trans person to a service that aligns to their lived gender, that service can no longer be described as single sex, and the provider is very likely to be at risk of legal challenge. So, I know Mike was talking about this last night on the Sunday Social. I didn't watch the whole thing because Twin Paranormal it was on, and I love my Twin Paranormal guys. It was a very scary episode last night. That he's got a key when you need to use disabled toilets. You know, they provide them, say, for example, at festivals and that, so that specific people who have specific problems and don't have to queue. People with IBS, but also people who wear a stoma bag or who have other issues and they need to use those specific toilets. So, yeah, I don't understand. So, I mean, I don't know. He did advertise last night that he had a spare. So I don't know if anybody contacted him about the spare key that he had. Because you have to have specific issues to get a key. It's probably done through PIP. So, you know, yeah, that's another fuck up. But very likely to be at risk of legal challenge. So this is making life difficult for people who own restaurants or coffee shops, you know. If I had a restaurant or coffee shop that had male toilets and female toilets, I'd take those signs off. I'd take those signs off completely. And people could just choose which toilet they wanted to go into. I've been into men's toilets before, once by accident, because where I run, they have an outside loo block. And so the women's toilets were on one side and the men's on the other. They've swapped it over. Me running, sweat, needing a wee, the door was open, so I didn't see the sign on the door. I went in and there's a whole load of urinals there. I'm like, there was nobody in. I'm like, oh God, I can't wait. So I went into the stall, came out, and of course there were men there. I'm like, sorry, I didn't realize this was now the men's. And the one guy said, yeah, it was the women's. You're not the first to do this, and so on. But the only people that would complain about it are transphobes, aren't they? Nobody else would complain about it. I can't see, the vast majority of people complaining about it. And what I love about my community as goths, as metalheads, as punks, as, the alternative community, the vast majority of us don't give a shit. If you identify as a woman, you identify as a woman. We don't care. That's what I like about my sort of group of friends is, we just don't care. It's also clear that it is not unlawful to exclude trans person from a single sex service of their own biological sex, as long as doing so is a proportionate means of achieving a legitimate aim. So in other words, that means that the person needs the toilet and they are a trans woman who has not had the surgery and have to go to the men's toilets. But for example, to prevent a male presenting trans man attending a group counselling session provided for female survivors of domestic abuse. Now, and I have said this before, that this is a very touchy subject, so please bear with me here. I do feel that that is necessary. And I am not being phobic about a trans man or a trans woman. My point is that women who have gone through SA, SV, DV, where it was a man that, sorry, my Windows just popped up telling me there's no virus on my thing, so that's good. If there is a trans man that's there, it could well prevent a woman from opening up. She could feel uncomfortable. And again, I know that Draka, I think you asked it quite a while ago, didn't you, about it? Because I said that I want to do therapy for women who have been abused in relationships by men. And I did suggest that there should be a separate therapy for trans women and trans men that have experienced that, because and should be led by said trans woman and trans man, so that the users are getting the correct advice and are in an environment where they are understood. That kind of violence is extreme and it can damage a person to the point, I mean, I trust my trans women friends more than I trust any man. Sorry to the men in the chat, but I do, because I know that they've gone through the same sort of prejudice that we go through. But I think as a therapeutic way of moving forward, that makes sense. If you disagree with me, please say so in the chat, because I think that, if I mean, I'm studying psychology and my aim is to set up a support group for women who have gone through SA, DV, SV, and grape. And to have a trans woman in that group, it may make it uncomfortable for the other service users. Also, I'm not trans. I've not experienced that abuse. So I wouldn't feel able to give the therapy to that person, if you understand what I'm saying here. I'm not trying to upset anybody, but as a therapist, because I said to my therapist, when I do go into therapy, I won't be seeing men for therapy. I will be seeing women only. So I'm already putting myself into this place because I feel that I couldn't trust a man to come into my private practice. I wouldn't feel comfortable. For service providers to exclude trans individuals, it has to meet strict criteria, and the reason for any exclusion must be fully documented only with the decision making. Yeah. Hi, David. Lovely to see you. And I did see as well that we have somebody. Oh, David Jacobson. Hello, David. You've seen unisex toilets quite often in Denmark where I work. There is unisex toilets. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. I really don't. Chris says, I've been breaking this down. From what I can understand, service providers cannot simply implement blanket bans on trans individuals accessing single-sex spaces. That's good. Blatant bullying, it's hate group writing guidelines against a group they hate. Yeah, the very thing the Equalities Act is set to protect people from. Yeah, it's a form of misogyny. It is systemic misogyny that women have been taking in for years from the patriarchy. So that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Hang on, Nido. Those keys are available online. Thank you, Diz, for letting us know. They're on eBay. You did a cheeky eBay purchase today, Diz. Well done. What anti-trans have done is if we want you out, we will. Owners of companies will be sued, and we've set it in such a way that you'll lose. I would say if there is a company that excludes you, let us know and let's boycott that company. If they're let's boycott them. We can stand with our trans friends and boycott them and say, fine, I won't go into Wetherspoons anymore because they banned me. If you were listening last night, I was banned from Wetherspoons, which somebody said I should wear as a badge of honor. And I wasn't even bloody drunk. If I was drunk, but I wasn't. I was stone cold sober. Yeah. Ren, I like that comment. Nothing beats drinking from a fresh mountain stream. Absolutely, David. I absolutely agree with you 100% there. When I've been hiking up in the peaks and I find a little stream, I'm like, oh, I'll drink that. My ex used to say, why are you drinking that? Because it's coming from up there. It's not coming out of a tap that's been through sewage. Sorry, let's have a look. Hate isn't a legitimate aim. Did I say hello to David McGuinness? You're enjoying the sun and a beer. Nice one. A trans woman who is sectioned right now has been put in a male ward and is scared because she's being targeted by the men. Okay, that is wrong. Wrong. I'm going to just come out of that and go into this article that I found. It popped up from the Daily Express. I know. The NHS still allows biological men into women's spaces. It's indefensible. I just, but this paragraph here, for too long, frontline nurses and healthcare professionals have been placed in an impossible position. Many have felt unable to speak out, fearing professional consequences within what they can only be described as a Stonewall influence climate of intimidation and orthodoxy. Yeah. There is so much to this issue, and so many areas that it is being injected into, and people are suffering. For raising our voices, we were ignored, sidelined, and forced out of the female changing room and reported to the Nursing and Midwifery Council. The man stayed using the female changing room. So this was a trans man that was using the female changing room. Astonishingly, the NHS has spent more than 603,000 and counting defending this policy of allowing biological men into women's spaces. This is a scandal that should never have happened. Yeah, I completely understand the trans woman being in a male ward, especially if they're sectioned, especially if they are in there for mental health reasons and they are a trans woman with men. It beggars belief. It beggars belief. Because that trans woman will more than likely have been bullied by men, possibly by women as well. I mean, this is all fucked up. It is all fucked up. And it angers me so much. It really, really does. It's going back to that. Sorry, I've got to find the right article now. Okay, so where was I? Yeah. So I did say, as long as doing so it is a proportionate means of achieving a legitimate aim, for example, to prevent a male presenting trans man attending group counselling. Okay, I said that. But it also states that if service providers don't offer alternative facilities for transgender individuals, such as gender-neutral toilets, this may also amount to discrimination on the basis of gender reassignment. Sorry, I'm just looking at some of the comments here. The code highlights that if a gym bans a trans man from the women's changing room, which aligns with his biological sex but provides no alternative space, it is a disproportionate decision and the trans person can sue for direct discrimination. Mel survived driving, wonderful. Scared because they are transphobic is not a legitimate excuse to deny access. There are lockable cubicles. Yeah. The only ones attacking people in toilets are the transphobes. Yeah. 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 We've seen footage, haven't we, when the whole thing went out at first. It seems to have died down a bit at the moment because everybody's focusing on migrants. Swap from one minority to another minority. They'll be back to the disabled people next. So, yeah, I think that it is the transphobes. Because like I say, it wouldn't bother me at all. At all. I've been in toilets when there are trans women there. I told you the story, I think. I told you the story. I was at Bloodstock last year, and lovely lady, Laura's her name, and she's trans, and she was dressed up as a nun for this one band. They dress up as nuns, and she was a bit pissed, to say the least. Anyway, we went to the loo at the same time. We're in cubicles next to each other. Obviously, these are portaloos. And she was saying, bloody tape, I can't unfasten it. Obviously, she taped everything. And I was just pissing myself laughing. And yeah. So, because she was really slim and just absolutely beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. There's a charity selling badges, I could be trans. That'll keep them on their toes if everyone wore that. That's true. I like that idea. On this stuff, it's hard for me to hear as a man who spent 33 years worshipping my wife. Crime against humanity is sex-based crime, no matter how you identify. Yeah, it is. It is. Still going to the mass lobby at Parliament on the 24th of June. A ton of people are going to be there, trans and allies alike, to discuss this with local MPs. Daniela, I wish I could be there with you. I am away over that weekend because it is Letha Midsummer. So I'm already booked. because the 21st, isn't it? Is it the 21st? There's the other march in London as well, which I would have liked to have joined, but I can't. I'm booked for Midsummer Ritual. Trans folk do not start trouble. We try to avoid it, but if trouble finds up, we stand up to it. Absolutely, Jeannie, absolutely. But you can go and have custom badges made. Yeah, because our little minority are the intimidating ones, not the old company and billionaire-backed hate machine. Absolutely, absolutely, Ren, absolutely. The guidance has basically been drafted to make it easier for the likes of Ratwing, Sex Matters, and for Women Scotland to sue service providers if they allow trans individuals into single access space. Hi, Suzanne, lovely to see you. I'll give you put a notification down. You have to stay for detention. Let's face it, men ping men. They want a women too. Trans women in their eyes are okay to ping. Yeah. Yeah. I actually wanted to put this up on Facebook earlier and I completely, well, I fell asleep because I've got a couple of trans women friend on Facebook. One of them, she actually does a lot of sort of prevention for trans women who have been targeted by trolls in a, you know, she receives comments privately that these people want this, that, and the next thing, and then it all goes to shit. So she outs them on there. Support badges, thank you, Diz. Thank you. Never had a threat, just swapping makeup tips or having a laugh. Suzanne, exactly. Exactly. Always makeup tips. I'm 6 foot tall, and the vast majority of trans women are my height. Some are taller, and I've got big feet. You know, I run in size 9.5 shoes, and there's always been a discussion over where to get decent shoes from. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand the fear that some people have. I really don't. And I grew up, you know, I lived here until I was 12, then moved to South Africa when I was 12, turning 13 that year, and then moved back here at 36. And not once in that time, because I was there through apartheid and after apartheid, and not once through that time did I ever have an issue with trans women. We used to go to all the clubs, you know, and there were all the trans women used to go to the same clubs because they knew they were accepted. Portaloo is probably the best place to piss yourself laughing, at least. Yeah, absolutely, Ren. Absolutely. Hi, Sir Larry. Lovely to see you. Been lurking. My tuppence punk opened so many doors for women and kicked down the barriers for sexuality. One of the headline acts at Ra in 76 was Tom Robinson, the gay and decent bloke of that name. Are you off, Billy? Thank you for being here. Has anyone played Kronos, the New Dawn brilliant game? I don't play games, so sorry. It started with a tax on single mothers. It spiraled from there to benefits claimants, then to ethnic minorities. Now we are on sex. Yeah, David, we are. We are. All of those of us that are in the alternative sort of what I would call alternative group of people are, you know, pointed fingers at. There's a video that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days that's really interesting about how women are viewed by right-wing men, specifically left-wing women. I short dark hair, a regular GE, are you a lesbian from Idiots? Yeah. 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 I've been asked if I'm trans. I've been asked if I'm a man. You know? Okay. Most of my trans friends have got way bigger boobs than me. Migrants, disabled, trans, gay, they're all targets. London has been the worst for racism out of all the countries I've lived in. Sorry, but it's true, but it's also one of the most progressive. David, yeah. It's sad that this whole thing, intersex and DSD people have been forgotten again. Yeah. Anything to distract from the real scroungers in the society, the wealthy. Exactly. I did see a headline about froggage. I didn't have a chance to read it. So that I think it was from the BBC that it's not going away, the 5 million fucking swindle. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Look over there, it's their fault. Absolutely, David McGuinness. X-ray Specs, led by one of the earliest environmentalists in music, well ahead of her time. Oh, she was brilliant. Was it polystyrene in X-ray Specs? Loved that name. Last but not least were the reggae bands that played Steel Pulse, who came on dressed in clan outfits. That's brilliant. My scary trans agenda this evening is to have a bubble bath and a good night's sleep. Truly, I must be stopped. Absolutely, Ren. Naughty. You can't do that. That's just against the code. My one trans friend, she boxes. Maybe all trans women should box, At least then when you are harassed, you can knock somebody out. And I don't mean that you should go and do that. That's not what I mean. And I'm not being facetious when I say that. It's just that, I started carrying my alarm and my spray, and it is a legal spray. It's one that is legal here in the UK. It's like a red goo, because of my fears of men. If I ever need help with makeup in shop, I find gayest or gothic looking person. Yep, absolutely. Trans women in the male prison estate have to use the same showers as the other prisoners, not at the same time, though. They are also housed in single cells. Well, that at least is one good thing. But again, a prison area is rife for abuse, isn't it? Men are graped in prison, and the whole sort of different groups of men stick together, and there's always somebody who's the boss. And yeah, I believe you will know more of it than me, but I believe that's sort of people in different factions and wanting protection from people. How can it be 31 degrees at 7 p.m? I know. Suzanne, I'm petite and just think some people are just annoying. They certainly are. Well, I had some lesbian friends when I lived in South Africa, and it was very clear who was the masculine and who was the feminine of the two. And I was propositioned by them, and I felt flattered. But I was with a bloke at the time, their cousin, which was a very, very bizarre situation that was. But it doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered by any. What I am bothered by is people who are phobic of those specific things. There's just no need. There's just mind your own business. Punk incorporated and embraced minorities. The DIY movement was what it was all about. Yeah, and she was a special soul. R.I.P. Jeannie, definitely. I doubt Nanny will let me say is the organised of what happens in prison. Yeah. Punk did, and goth does as well. So Larry, goth, metal, all are included. I think that of all, alternative genders. And when you look at the 80s with bands like Bronski Beat and Frankie Goes to Hollywood, when sort of gay rights were becoming more acceptable within society, it still wasn't in South Africa, I will say that. It was only after Mandela was released that gay rights became, gay men and gay women became more acceptable. Prior to that, it wasn't. I think I'd want to do taekwondo. I got legs for days. Oh, jealous. I'm small and don't martial arts. I'm fast and bigger are slow. Yeah. And you've never lost. Our lips are sealed. That's Fun Boy 3. And yeah, I love that song. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at... Suzanne, did you ask me butch or feminine? Both. Both wanted me to be with them. So it wasn't like but the feminine one was beautiful. She really was. She really was. And the male one was also good looking. So it would have been an experience, but it didn't happen. 23 degrees at 8 a.m. tomorrow, 26 by 9 a.m. Oh my God. Okay, I must go out really, really early. Sorry, I'm just trying to find... Single cells finish work activities earlier so they can get a shower in peace, access to different catalogues they can order from. Most prisoners see them as playing the system. Well, most people see disabled people and people on benefits as playing the system, not realizing how fucking hard it is to get onto those benefits. They're just being fed and believe what the media tells them. Men's prison in South Africa, I think, were the worst in the world. Yeah. Well, David, those ones, I think it was, is it in Venezuela where Trump sent all those poor prisoners? Yeah. But South African prisons back then, oh God, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. Balance. Yes, Suzanne, balance. 30 degrees by noon. Oh God, I can see tomorrow being another day when I sleep in the afternoon. So, trans ladies, are there any experiences that you want to discuss around this besides what we've already discussed? Perhaps look into things a little deeper. What happens? The updated code also says that although the focus of interest is what the code says about single-sex provision, it includes a range of new protections for people across the country, including for women whose menopause has a significant impact on their everyday life, updates to reflect the legalization of same-sex marriage, and clarification that women who breastfeed are protected from harassment. Good. Those things are very, very important. But if Froggage gets in, all those things will be gone. It will be laid before Parliament for 40 days as a formality, after which the Equalities Minister, Bridget Phillotson, issues a statutory instrument and it comes into force and is then subjected, to the EHRC's enforcement powers. So yeah, I'm sure there must be some sort of protest online. If anybody knows anything and can, pop that in the chat, that would be good. Let's scroll down here. Let's get down here. It's a numbers system. It is. Gender disabled lose, e.g. Leicester Forest Services, M1 North and Leeds Indoor Market. So do they have gender disabled toilets, Alex? Because that's a good thing. It needs to be, to put in a law is one thing, but there needs to be action taken before that law is put into place so that trans women don't suffer, trans men don't suffer, so that, both genders have their rights protected as well. Because it's not just the rights of cisgendered women and cisgendered men, it's the rights of every single person. Like in South Africa, blacks had to go to a different toilet. The signs all said whites only. You were only allowed to go to these toilets if you were white. If you were black, you had to go to those toilets. That's how fucked up the system was there. That's how fucked up it was. You wouldn't find black people in the white hospitals. It was just so segregated. And in South Africa, the black people had to have passbooks, but the white people had identification books as well, ID books, so pretty much the same thing. I still know my ID number. It's still here in my head. You know, so that's why the whole digital, had to give my fingerprints. Yeah, had to give my fingerprints when I got my ID. Also had to give them when I got my Pew Pew license as well. But yeah, it's those provisions need to be made before a law is implemented. That's in my opinion. Handing power to a hate group. Yeah. I have a cross-dresser pal. He is 6 foot tall and was printer for newspapers. He liked to dress up, but he hasn't had surgery. Yeah, look at Eddie Izzard, you know. So what? Who cares? If, you know, if you're a cross-dresser, I don't care. I don't care at all. It doesn't mean that you are sexually deviant. It means that you just like women's. I mean, come on, women's clothes are so much nicer than men's. We have more choice. But, and I've done a video on this before as well. You know, I think that men should wear skirts if they want to, and shouldn't be, you know, pointed at for wearing skirts. Shouldn't be made fun of for wearing skirts. It's completely natural. You know, I don't. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. I remember having to draw the old racist nationalist flag to get entry for Sea Scouts, and then had to recite the distem. Yeah, they tried hard to brainwash me. You know, I never learned all of the words for distem, and the new anthem. I honestly, Nkosi Sikelele Africa. I only know a few bits of it. This is the only government petition that I can find that is linked to the guidance. Thank you, Chris C. I'm just going to open that. Bear with me, guys, so that I can have a look at it. So it closes on 29th of October, 2026. It's only got 121 signatures, guys. So we believe the law should reflect current medical understanding, lived experience, and international human rights standards. Okay, this is protections for transgender children, and to include intersex and non-binary adults and children. Okay. We are concerned that presently people's rights are being pushed back due to what we feel is a lack of clarity by the ECHR Commission and Parliament. Yeah. In protection of the LGBTQIA population, we feel our government has a duty to keep the Equality Act 2010 up to date. Well, technically it is being updated. There were 262, okay, I think that's possibly 1,000 trans people and 30,000 non-binary people identified in the UK census in 2021. It is also reported that there are around 358,000 people with intersex variations in the UK. So maybe a new petition needs to be started. I don't know. Perhaps that's something that one of you wonderful ladies could look at. I don't like the use of the Henry VIII powers. Parliament should vote on issues that changes the law. Yep. Yep. How many male grapers wore a dress to access female spaces to commit crime? None. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Suzanne's put only the reported. The thing is, if now, this is where it crosses over into the video that I want to make tomorrow. If we know that with grape that happens from a migrant, it is straight away, goes to court, gets prosecuted, found guilty. There are a few reasons for that. Number one, people won't tolerate it. The police know that. The police know that there'll be riots and it'll all kick off if they don't do anything about it. Number two, the jury, I think this is a jury trial, Chris C. Remind me if it is just jury or just a judge. I'm not sure. Who's going? David going, need to go, enjoyed the subjects covered. Thank you so much. We've been forming, yeah. There's so many amazing content creators that all count, and following each other is the best thing that we can do. Thank you, David McGuinness, for joining. Really appreciate it. I've lost my train of thought. What was I on about? Oh, yeah. So if a migrant grapes a white girl or white woman and goes to court, the jury or judge, who are probably the majority of white, will more than likely find the defendant guilty. Whereas if it's a white man, they will more than likely find the defendant not guilty. And that brings on to the next thing that I want to chat about. Straight men were drugged and raped in Manchester. Remember that case? Yeah, they were. And it happens, Suzanne. It does happen. And that probably got a lot of coverage, and probably those people were persecuted and received the, sorry, I've got a bite on my leg and it's really itchy. I've got some Anthrazan upstairs, so I'll have to put that on. But yeah, when it's issues like that big splash headlines, they are generally found guilty. Now we look at this case with these 3 young lads. Sorry. I'm not sure about the Qualities Act had a clause: if guidance is unworkable, it can be pulled. The old way had no action taken. It would have been 2010 to 12. This one causes danger, it's unworkable. Okay. So 2 girls experienced 2 separate instances of grape from 3 teenage boys. Now, their names have not been released due to their age. So I am reading from the Crown Prosecution Services page. 3 teenage boys have today, this was from the 21st of May, 3 teenage boys have today been sentenced after they were convicted of a knife point grape and other serious offences against 2 teenage girls in Hampshire. The boys, who were aged 13, 14 and 14 at the time of the offences, cannot be named for legal reasons. Sorry guys, I just need to do something here because my phone isn't in time with my live stream, because there shouldn't be too much of a delay. Okay, Chris is pushing back. I'm going to push back. White defendants are convicted by juries at higher rates than black and other minority ethnic defendants. I will agree with that, but is that because, and I don't like doing the proportional per capita thing. I don't like doing that. Is it because, what is that based on? Is that based on the total figures, or is it based on per capita? I hate using that fucking term, but is it based on, let's say there are 10 black or brown people that have been convicted of rape, and 5 of them go to jail, and 10 white men convicted of rape and 5 of them go to jail? Is it because there are more white people in the United Kingdom? That's what I'm trying to get at. And I don't like using the per capita thing, but I just wanted to try and get a comparison as to what as to where that goes, if that makes sense. So Yeah, that's all I want to know. But we need to remember as well on this issue that there is a vast majority of grapes that are not reported. The vast majority of grapes in the United Kingdom occur within a family. So it's normally a partner, a husband, or another person closely related or known by the victim. And whereas grapes that occur in society, woman walking alone, being raped, or, you know, that is a rarer occurrence. So let's say, I'm just working on figures that are made up now. Let's say there are 100 grapes. Of those 100 grapes, 50 are reported. The other 50, they don't even bother reporting them because they know that very little is going to happen with that going to the police. And for reasons to themselves, you know, reporting it is embarrassing, especially if it's your husband or boyfriend that's doing it. It can be incredibly embarrassing. And will people believe you? Because it's a he said, she said thing. So 50 are reported. Of that 50, 25 may go to court. Of that 25, I think, if I remember correctly, it's about 3. It's a very, very low percentage of grapes that actually end up in the offenders going to being found guilty. I could be wrong, but I cannot remember the exact percentages. So I do it sort of with 100 because it works out to about the same percentage. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Chris C. Yeah, if you have a look, I know it's difficult to look on the figures. It has to be based on the law at the time of the crime. Yeah, it does. I find it that there are huge coverage of the grape in Brighton committed by immigrants, but next to coverage of 3 grapes that were racially motivated in the West Midlands. Yeah, there was the white man who graped a Sikh woman because he thought she was Muslim. That was early in the morning. If you have a look, and I've said this before, you can have a look on all of the local police crime websites. Like for your local area, you will have a crime area underneath your the area that you fit into. So for example, there is a Sheffield one, and you can go on there and you can have a look at all of the cases that have gone to court, and all, you know, you can look at the grape cases and you can see that the vast majority are white and they don't get reported. They may be reported in local newspapers, but people don't buy local newspapers anymore. You know, they're very, I mean, the one, the Worksop Guardian, where I used to live, it was free at one stage, and then they started charging for it, and now it's like £4 something to subscribe to it. I'm not subscribing to it to pay that much. So yeah, it's sensationalized when it's because of politics, because there's that, we need to, you know, make the Muslims and the black and brown people the enemy. Not, again, it's that turn away from the wealthy people, because we need, so they are the scapegoats over there. The boys who were aged 13, 14 and 14 at the time of the offences cannot be named for legal reasons. During a 5-week trial at Southampton Crown Court, which resulted in their conviction on the 5th of March, jurors heard the victims aged 14 and 15 at the time were attacked in separate incidents less than 2 months apart and were physically overpowered. The girls did not know one another. The January 2025 offence, a 14-year-old girl was assaulted after becoming separated from her friends. She was threatened with a sharp kitchen object and forced to leave her mobile phone and AirTag in a shop so that her movements could not be tracked before being taken to a secluded area. 2 defendants took it in turns to grape the victim while the others encouraged the offending and filmed the assaults. The defendants left the scene when they believed they had been disturbed. The victim was later found distressed and reported the incident to police. Forensic evidence supported the victim's account, including damage to her trousers consistent with the use of a sharp instrument. The November 2024 offence, the investigation later identified a second victim aged 15 who was raped in November 2024 by two of the same defendants, both aged 14 at the time. The court heard that the victim had met one of the defendants online and travelled alone to meet him. They were later joined by another boy and taken to an underpass where she was raped by both of them. Today at Southampton Crown Court, boy A from Hampshire, who was convicted of 2 counts of rape and count of taking indecent images of a child, has been sentenced, listen to this sentence, to a 3-year youth rehabilitation order. Boy B from Dorset, who was convicted of 6 counts of rape, has been sentenced to a 3-year youth rehabilitation order. Boy C from Hampshire, who was convicted of 2 counts of rape, has been sentenced to an 18-month youth rehabilitation order. I think boy C is probably the younger of the 3. I'm suspecting that may be as far as the law could go with the boys. I don't know. Chris C will know more about this than me. But these guys raped, a gang rape, 2 different women, 2 different girls, at 2 different times. They have been told they've got rehabilitation order. Is that going to do the job? Probably not. Probably not. Basically, they've got away with it because, isn't it right? If I remember, at 18, that's all expunged from your thing, so it doesn't show up on a DB check. Whenever a grape or serious S offence case involves a child, it is reviewed by a prosecutor with expertise in both grape and youth offending. In all cases, we carefully consider all of the evidence. We will take into account the full circumstances of both the victim and the child suspect to ensure any decision to prosecute is fair, proportionate, and reflects the gravity of the offence. Lucy Paddock of the Crown Prosecution Service said, "This is a deeply concerning case which involved a disturbing level of encouragement between young boys who acted together to rape the 2 young girls in separate incidences. These girls were forced into S activity by boys who brazenly filmed and the deeply distressing incidents. After speaking with the victims in this case and reviewing an extensive file of evidence, it was the Crown Prosecution Service's case that these girls were violated and could not have consented to these terrifying encounters. The CPS worked closely with Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary to support the victims and other young witnesses to give their evidence, and we commend them for the courage they showed throughout this trial. Our lawyers will work tirelessly to pursue justice for the victims, and we will continue to hold those responsible for crimes of this devastating nature to account regardless of their age." Siobhan Blake, National CPS Leader for Grape and Serious S Offences, said, that's RASSO, said, "It is deeply distressing to see any instance of S offending, especially when it involves young victims and offenders. Our prosecutors tell us they are seeing youth-on-youth cases with some involving more serious and more violent behaviour. It is vital young people are educated, informed about consent, and that harmful and misogynistic attitudes are tackled as early as possible to prevent these crimes. Everyone has a part to play. Young people must understand that S activity without consent is a serious criminal offence that can lead to them being prosecuted. To any young person who has been a victim of crime or who has seen or heard about S abuse happening, please tell a trusted adult you are not in trouble, and we will be here to support you through the next steps." So boy A from Hampshire, who was 14 at the time of the offences but is 15 now, was convicted of 2 counts of rape and 1 of taking indecent images of a child, has been sentenced to a 3-year youth rehabilitation order. Boy B from Dorset, who was 14 at the time of the offences but is now 15, was convicted of 6 counts of rape. He pleaded guilty to 4 counts of taking indecent images of a child. He has been sentenced to a 3-year youth rehabilitation order. Boy C from Hampshire, who was 13 at the time of the offences but is 14 now, was convicted 2 counts of rape. He has been sentenced to an 18-month youth rehabilitation order. Boy A and B have been made subject to a 10-year restraining order against both victims, so they are not allowed to go anywhere near them in any way, shape, or form. So that's media and so on. Boy C has been made subject to a 10-year restraining order against one of the victims. So Starmer, actually, to be fair, has described the case as appalling, and that the custodial sentences were spared custodial sentences over the grape of two girls as appalling. He added that it was right that the sentence given by a judge at Southampton Crown Court were being reviewed by Attorney General Lord Richard Hermit. It is being reviewed. He said the girls had shown extraordinary bravery and strength in heinous circumstances. The judge of this case, Nicholas Rowland, said he wanted to avoid criminalizing these children unnecessarily. 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 Personally, I think they should be held up as an example and should be criminalized. Hello, Daily Blase. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining. It's a very difficult subject tonight. I do apologize for the subject matter, but it's two issues that I really wanted to cover. Where's Chris C made a comment here. Looked at the legal side of the sentencing of these three teenagers. Based on the details provided in the press, the offence would be Category 1 offence and a culpability A offence. Starting point for a Category 1 offence is 15 years custody. Yeah. Oh, but that's for adults. Oh, between 13 and 19 years custody, but that's for adults. So, okay. I do think, though, that it should be made a custody sentence, regardless of the age. And Daily Blase, you've put an excellent comment there. I think it was Daily Blase that put the comment in. Oh, no, it was David Jacobson. Wonder how much of an impact role prawn plays in grapes committed by youngsters at age 14. Yeah. Yeah. The manosphere, easy access to prawn. And I'm not saying all men, because we know it's not all men, but lads see this stuff online and they want to try it. And a lot of them believe, and the manosphere, many, many, many men in the manosphere tell lads that they have the right to do that, that it's property, that a woman is property and she's there to be used. And it's just so wrong. It is so, so wrong. Hi, CDN. I'm not sure what that stands for. Ollieman 007. I'm guessing that you, because I like your picture with the James Bond down the barrel look. So I'm sorry if I've missed any comments here. Oh, thank you, Chris C, for investigating. Thank you so much. You are excellent. You are excellent. Suzanne, when I was getting a bus after my job at Salford Uni, turned up in the bus queue next to me. Yeah. Having a fiddle under his coat. I called him out loud. The bus security staff just laughed. Yeah. Yeah. There's footage online of blokes sat there across, you know, on the metro in America, on the tube where the guy's got his hand down his pants staring at the woman, and she's got a phone recording it, because it's like, you know, it is a control. It is a form of control. It is a shock. Flashes, same thing. They want the response. Mouse Cat Jam, hi. Black Library, Real Magic. George Byron Show. Let's have a look. I'll write that down. When you say it's real magic, is it black magic? Is it voodoo, hoodoo? What sort of magic are we working with there? Not just sympathetic magic. Did it 3 times. God. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the comments here. I do hope everyone is well and surviving the heat wave. This room that I'm in at the moment is the coolest room in the house, thank the goddess. My cat, the one that's in the spare room because she's poorly, she's got the fan. The curtains are closed, the window's closed in there, but I've got the fan on for her, so it makes it a bit cooler. So yeah, I do think that prawn, social media, all those things make it accessible. And I do think that, you know, watch Adolescence if you've not watched it. It is brilliant. It is so well acted, so well filmed. And I binged it when it first came onto Netflix, because I'd seen what it was about. And because I, you know, I look a lot at the manosphere. For me, it was, oh, CDN Canadian. I've just figured it out. I've just figured it out because I've seen Billy's little Canadian flag there. I just figured it out. Sometimes it takes a while to click. Just got home from Montreal. The Formula One weekend was awesome. Who won? Because I don't watch Formula One anymore. I'm kind of wiped out though. I think I got about 2 or 3 hours sleep each night over the 5 nights. Yeah, that's it. When you do these things, when I go away camping, I struggle. It takes me a few days to recover now. Some fella on the way to the library at Salford Uni put his hand on top of my head and said, "I will heal you." Why do people feel the need to touch you without being asked? You know, if I'm going somewhere and I feel this connection and want to give them a hug, I will say, "May I hug you? Is that okay?" When it comes to sentencing juveniles, judges have to take into consideration reducing the starting point by up to half. However, that is the starting point, which can be adjusted upward based. Yeah. I honestly think that they should set an example with these lads, because the victims carry this for the rest of their lives. They will remember it. They will know exactly what happened to them. You know, I'm a survivor. That'll never leave. All of the different varying abuses I endured will never leave me. They will always be there. Don't worry. It's okay. I have a therapist and I'm strong. But those things will never leave. And those young girls are going to struggle in the future, meeting boys, finding a partner to trust, to love. Perhaps when they have their first actual encounter with somebody that they love or care about, it's going to be traumatic for them as well, because those memories are going to come flooding back. I hope that they're getting the support that they need, but it's so unfair that the victims are the ones that suffer from this. So this was what the, how long have we got here? This was part of the interview with Koonsberg.
That's been 18 months long, come to an end. And quite frankly, what for?
This is all actors voicing.
Off you go again.
It's not the real people.
What do you feel about that? What's this week been like?
I sat in a courtroom the other day. It seems to me like the victims are the ones that are suffering, and the perpetrators
This is the father.
are the ones that have seemingly got away scot-free. I had to bite my lip. I felt physically sick, and I was like, hold on, this has happened. It's a despicable crime, whether it's a child, an adult, anyone. And I just think the judge's message was, it's okay, you can do it. I'll just give you a slap on the wrist.
The words hit like a rock straight in my face. He almost made it seem as if what the boys did was not okay, but it was okay in the eyes of the law because they were still children.
And what did that mean to you?
It meant that why did I sit and put myself through the pain of going to court, going through a trial, reliving everything because of evidence and watching it all happen again? It sort of gave me a sense of what's the point? Like, what was the point in putting me through that just to say that it's fine?
And yet,
just on one point here, if you do report a grape to the police, for it to go ahead, they ask you, will you take this to court? If you say no, they won't investigate it. So, I mean, this case was actually seen relatively quickly in the system when it comes to grape, because sometimes it can take up to 2 years. So this was like, what, 18 months after the January 2025 one. So you have to be prepared to go to court. And you know what women say if it's somebody they know? I don't want to ruin their life. That's what women say. Kind face, mean fist, yeah. Yeah. Community-based sentences are not appropriate for grape. Yeah, I didn't think so, Chris C. Yeah, I don't want to ruin his life. But your life's been ruined as the victim. Your life has been ruined. You will never, I'm sorry, as a woman, you will never, ever feel safe again. Ever. Carry on with the interview. It's not very long, so.
Many people listening to you today will think you've had incredible courage in speaking up at the time about what happened to you.
It took me 6 months to say something. And essentially, the reason I said it was because I was losing it. I was spiraling. I needed help, but I didn't know how to get it. So I spoke up.
And what was it like for you then when you found out what had happened?
My world stopped. Everything stopped moving. It's very strange when you have a trauma within the family. Everyone else's life keeps moving on, except yours. Yours stops.
One of the things that happened was that the boys shared the 2 attacks online. What was that like for you?
It was hard because I'd get no caller IDs. I'd have people ringing me saying, oh, you had a threesome. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did that. Oh my God, there's a video of you. But I'd always get these calls. They'd just tell me how much of a bad person I was because I was so disgusting for doing something at such a young age. But no one ever knew the full story.
That's the thing. That's the thing. These lads recorded it and shared it. So the proof is there. The proof is there of what they did. And within that footage, they are, encouraging each other to do this thing and laughing, apparently. I think I did see some of the footage. It was faded out. Chris C says, yes, he has ruined your life, so showing the same level of respect he showed you. The thing is, though, Chris C, when you love a person, it's very different. And a lot of women who are in relationships with their abuser say the same thing because they still have that level of love for that person. It's a narcissistic relationship. It's a coercive, controlling relationship. It's where, and it can happen the other way around as well. However, statistically, it's more the male violence on women that happens. But the narcissist will shower the person with love, and it's also the sort of love bombing, it's known as. Within the first few weeks, they'll tell you that they love you, they buy you gifts, they are so nice, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And then after a while, they'll have a little bit of a hissy fit at something that you did. And then they'll apologize. Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do that. It won't happen again. There'll be a long time, and then they'll do a similar thing. That's called trauma bonding. So they will issue trauma, but then they've bonded you to them already with the actions of the love bombing. And so their apology, which is not a proper apology, they'll never apologize properly. They'll never say sorry. They'll say sorry, but. And then they say they won't do it again. So it bonds you to that person. That trauma becomes expected after they have done something to you. You know they're going to apologize. You know they're going to say they're never going to do it again. So you know that it's going to be okay. By that time, you are so entrenched in that relationship. They have coerced you into doing things, into being with them. And then they will do what is known as DAVO, deny, attack, reverse, victim, offender. So they'll do something, you'll say, you did this, and they'll say, no, you did that. That never happened. You're wrong. And then the victim starts thinking, oh, maybe it was them. Maybe it was me that did this. Maybe it is my fault. And the offender actually makes themselves out to be the victim. Look at me. You're the one that's done this. You're the one that's upset me. How do you think I feel? And the cycle continues. The cycle continues, and eventually there will be some physical abuse that happens, and possibly goes further to, femicide. So, and it is coercive control. And people will often ask, both men and women will ask, why didn't you leave? It's not that easy. It is not that easy. Have a look at some of my really early videos on narcissism. I did one called The Grand Finale. It is in the most watched videos playlist. Have a look at that. I think I'm a little bit more eloquent in that, explaining it, but I actually probably need to update that, to be honest, because I did that, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. And it was right after what I'd experienced. So it was very raw at the time. But if you have a look at some of the old videos, you'll see that those are the issues that I talked about. And that's why I got into psychology, was because of what I'd experienced and how I realized how I'd been manipulated. I can also point out that these boys shared footage of both disturbing, indecent images, but instead of the victims getting support from their peers, they received horrific abuse, which she just described. Yeah, like, oh, look at you, look what you did, you slag, you slut, you opened your legs, should have done this, should have done that, which is what happens if you are raped. You will be asked, what did you do to deserve it? What did you do to deserve it? What were you wearing? Were you drunk? And the victim will start to think, it is my fault. I should have worn something different. I should have done this. Now, there was footage that I saw. I'm trying to hurry up because I'm looking at the time. There was footage that I saw this morning from it was a Islamic guy. I'm not sure what you would call them. But he had a stall like on a street, and he'd said something to this young girl who was wearing shorts. She'd do 2 of them together, very young, teenagers, younger than 18. She was wearing shorts, and he'd said something to her along the lines of, you'll get raped dressed like that. And so the police got involved. But the guy denied it, because there was no footage, there was no evidence that this is what was said, because there was nobody around but these 2 girls. Now, I can't see those 2 girls telling porkies. I'm going to do a video on this. And then, so the police were involved, all got, I don't know what the outcome was. I will try and follow up on that story. Then you've got from the Unite the Kingdom rally thing, where that white guy was harassing the white girl who was underage. She was 15, and everybody was laughing and nothing happened. Now, I'm not saying that the Muslim guy shouldn't have been, you know, interviewed and cautioned, whatever happened to him. He should, most definitely, 100%. But the white guy should have as well. He should also have been called aside. If it was me, if I was the mother of a 15-year-old and that was said, Chris C's in full producer mode. So thank you, Chris C. I love you. I love you. Mwah. I tell you one thing, if I was the judge in this case, each lad would have received 7.5 years for each of their grape charges, and those sentences would run back to back, total sentence 15 years. Yeah. I just want to let everyone know I'm not ignoring you. If you're entwined and have children, it's not easy as well. And a lot of these abusive men will, you know, have everything in their name. They will control the finances. You won't have anywhere to go. They will, you know, take you away from your family and friends. You're not allowed to see your friends. If you've got male friends, you're not allowed to see them. You're not allowed to go out on your own. If you do, you need to have your phone with you, and, you know, you need to be contactable. Doubting yourself, absolutely. I'm being careful what I say because I'm saying no more than anyone else is saying, but for some reason I keep not getting shown on here. Steve, maybe a word that you are using, grape with a G, SA for sexual assault, SV for sexual violence, and DV for domestic violence. Those are the, you know, use that. And then sort of, you know, use, like I say pew pew instead of that, and I say a sharp kitchen implement instead of the K word, you know. So, you know, you have to, YouTube has these algorithm issues. Yeah, it sounds like Chat Nanny has it in for you tonight. Yeah. Good souls do sometimes step in, but not often. I would, oh my God, if I saw something happening, bloody hell. Just going to go back to this quickly because it is 9 minutes to Reagan Elite.
Other teenagers who you didn't know saying what kind of things to you?
They said I was disgusting. They said I should keep to myself. They said that I was a whore. I was a slag. I was all the above.
That must have been so hard for you to hear that. What went through your mind?
I just wanted to die.
And yet you had the courage then to speak up and to share what happened in order to get justice.
I wanted justice. I wanted to prove my point, but it feels like nothing was proven.
What went through your mind as a mother, having seen your daughter have the courage to go through this process, to share a terrible experience, and then end up with that as the result?
I just can't explain as a mother how it feels to know that the people sitting in the same courtroom as you have raped your child. I can't. Nobody else can understand that.
And so what do you want to happen?
This needs to be reviewed. This needs to be re-looked at. This needs to be given justice. This needs to be given a custodial sentence. It has to be. We need to remember this was not a couple of drunken teenagers at a party having a fumble. This was premeditated. It was thought about. It was planned. And it's not just a once-off occasion. This is more than once. This is twice. They've been convicted twice of the same thing. How are they still walking around?
Steve, I don't know. YouTube does that sometimes. It's not me. It's not me. I have no banned words or blocked words on here. I just know that it's sometimes stupid, and there is no delay time either on your comments, so you can comment straight away, because sometimes you get you can do a 60-second delay, and I like to see comments straight away as if I'm having a conversation with the person face to face. So I am sorry. I know those remarks are available, Chris C, because I know that I've heard them. I've not found them, but I know that they are available. Tories took away legal aid. Yeah. Oh, hang on. No. Well, no, because when I went to report my issue, I did get a lawyer that was, you know, part of the legal aid system, but I don't know. I don't know.
All I can think about is if you can do the crime, you can do the time. And I know it's a well-known saying, but it should be more thought out. It should be something that actually happens. Because yeah, you'll have your petty crimes, you'll have whatever. Someone's gone to the shop and they've stolen a packet of sweets. But this is different. You're impacting someone else's life. It's always in the back of your head. Why did I do that? But it's never, you'll be better, you're stronger. It's always, you did that and you're disgusting. My brain is telling me that I'm not worth it because of what I did. And it's almost as if it feels like it's my fault. And sometimes I sit and think and I wonder, what could I have done differently? But you can never go back in time.
But everyone listening to you today, I think would want me to say this was not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. And you had the courage to speak up about something that happened to you. And that's an incredible act of bravery for a young person. I just wonder if do you feel that there is something kind of going wrong between teenage boys and girls more generally?
It's getting worse as sex is becoming a bigger thing. It's, if you don't do it, you're the word frigid. If you do it, you're on top of the world until you fall straight back down and get called a whore, get called a slag, get called all of this.
And how much of a role do you think social media plays in that?
It plays a big role. It really does. Because one day you'll have a really good day, but you'll mess up doing something and someone will record it and then they'll post it and it'll go viral. Then once you've gone viral, there's no turning back. Once it's posted on the internet, there's no going back. It's there forever.
The Prime Minister was the chief prosecutor in the country. So what would your message be to him today?
My honest message would be sort it out. Sort it out so that boys, girls, women, men are getting justice for crimes against them.
What would you say to the Prime Minister?
Please help. If it was your daughter, your niece, your son, your nephew, your family member, would you be happy? Because we're not happy, and I don't think any other member of the public will be happy too. So you're in a position of power to help, so please help.
It's weird. It really is weird, because I remember when I was younger, I was the happiest little kid you'd ever meet. And now, all I can think about is being sad, being angry, stressed, tired, school, needing a job, trying to pull my life together while I feel like it's falling apart.
What would you want other people listening to you today?
I want other people listening to me today to have a think. If it's happened to them, please, please reach out. Don't fall apart because someone else has done something bad to you. Show them that you're stronger. Show them that other people care. Show them you care about what they've done and that you can be better than what they are.
Yeah, I because they're under the age of 18, the sentencing remarks are not available to the public. Yeah, I know that in the article, it was from The Guardian. I'll link it after I've finished here because I need to record some videos now as well. Yeah, it's just wrong. The victims have been ignored. The victims have been ignored. And the judge said he doesn't want them to be criminalised. But they are criminals. This was planned. It was not just a crime of opportunity, you know, at a party. It was planned. They had contacted her. This one boy had contacted her to meet up, you know, online, socials, and so on. And then the other two boys had arrived, and then off they went, and they attacked her. And it's just bollocks. It's just absolutely bollocks. You will never forget it. And it's just wrong because those kids have gone home. The boys have gone home and they're laughing. They're like, yeah, we got away with it. High five. Got away with it. We've only got to do this rehabilitation stuff. And they can get through that. You know, they can pretend. So, yeah, something needs to be done. It has gone back to the Attorney General. So hopefully I'll follow up with this and see where it leads. So, yeah, I'm sorry that these topics were difficult tonight, but I did want to cover both of them. Let me know what you think. You can go and comment on the live stream in the comment section after the live stream is finished. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Absolutely wonderful to have you all here. I'm just linking that, opening that link. Thank you, Chrissy. Wonderful to have you here. And well, these were voices of actors. These were not the actual voices of the real people. Obviously, they're protected, although everything is online. Have a wonderful evening. Please try and keep cool in this hot weather. If you can't do anything else, a cold, wet towel on yourself, especially on the back of your neck. Water on your head will help to keep you cool. I will see you all on Wednesday for Witchy Wednesday. Don't know what I'm going to be talking about in the world of witchcraft yet, but Mousecat Jam has given me something to look at, so I will go and have a look at that. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you to listening and being here with me. I really do appreciate it. If you do want to support the channel, you can go to the link at the top to my Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a coffee. Again, have a wonderful evening. Pop over to Reagan Elite. You should all actually head over there now when I end this stream. Blessed be. Mwah.